Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming to this workshop called by Member Hahn and agreed to by all of us. So before we get started, just a little bit of housekeeping. I put down the policy workshop, and I thought, you know, this is a great way for our new board members, and including me. I never had one of those workshops, other than I did go to half a day. But it's a good way to learn how to put policy together and really to be very, let's just say, focused on the right way and the meaningful way, whatever. The Florida School Board Association has a great class. The only tidbit is, and this is Carol Cook, she'll come, but the cost is $1,200. So I didn't want to schedule that until I got consensus from the board. So if you all are okay with that, and Member Snively, good morning. You there?
Good morning. I am here.
You are there, and anyway, I hope you can hear me. I'm going on about this policy workshop. So Carol will present it, but it's going. Yeah, it's going to cost about $1,200. So board members, having said that, it will be about a 2.5 hour workshop, normal setting. Would you all like for me to pursue that, meaning I'll put a date together? If you'll just shake your heads, or this would be yes, this would be no.
So I just would like to comment. I know FSBA has the trainings. I've gone through the policy training in Howey in the Hills, and that cost us money. I know you went. I know Karen Perez went. I know Ms. Snively has gone. I encourage the new board members to go, but I think, you've already paid. The district has already paid from the majority of our professional development around this. So I think that, in my opinion, the most cost-effective thing is for the new board members to go through FSBA and do their policy training. It's very extensive. It's fantastic. And, the majority of us have been through it. And I understand that there's, a learning curve here, but, I just think I would prefer that would be the course we would take. I don't know how Member Perez feels or Member Snively, but I've been through it. I think it was a 2-day training on how to look up policy, how to write policy, how to utilize resources on the web. It's pretty extensive, and, the district has invested in us around that. So I think that would be a great opportunity for our new board members if they haven't already been able to do it.
So the reason I brought it up is because there's two main functions of a board member. The priority is policy making and fiscal responsibility. So I know that we take it seriously, and I'm fine with it. I actually, policy workshop, unfortunately I only got half a day. But if you all went through it already, Karen, you're shaking your head. Have you gone through it already, the policy 2-day workshop?
I have, and I agree. As you were just stating, fiscal responsibility is one of our priorities, especially right now. And $1,200 is what you're saying. Stating is the cost.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a lot, especially since we're already paying, a fee, for FSBA, and that is included in that training that we receive. So, to pay an additional $1,200 for a training that we already receive as part of being a membership in FSBA, I just feel it's redundant. And, the new board members, like as we did when we became new board members, we took that training in FSBA, and I feel that's fiscally responsible as a board. And, that's just where I stand.
Okay. All right.
Madam Chair, that book now, the $1,200, is that already paid if we take it through the training, the 2-day training?
Carol Cook would come here and give an abbreviated session.
For 2 hours?
2 hours, 2.5 hours.
Okay.
We had 2 full days through FSBA.
And
Oh, okay.
She would give a abbreviated,
So we don't pay for the two full days? That's what you're saying?
You have to pay for your, your travel there.
Yeah.
It's in Howie in the Hills typically. Or they might do some of it during the I don't know if they do a little of that during the conference as well. They might. I don't know.
she said that.
I'm just saying, I sat through it, Karen sat through
Yeah,
it.
y'all have, I
you know,
understand.
So if,
So I.
and I
yeah.
think you need more than 2 hours.
Yeah, all right, so we're going to go ahead and, Karen?
I think what Member Washington is asking is if that training is already paid for, and it is through FSBA. Those 2 days of training are already paid for through our membership through FSBA.
Yeah, I didn't realize that we have already paid for it, but at any rate, because I usually sign up Howie in the Hills, right now, this year, they're not having it in Howie in the Hills, they're having the budget workshops coming up. But at any rate, this is just educational decision-making. And so I have 2 nays. Anyone want to say yay or nay? Member Snively, what do you think? I know you've probably been through it twice, 3 times.
Well, I've been to the Howie in the Hills training. I think they had policy training earlier this year.
Yeah,
and
that's the one I went to. Yeah, they did.
Right. And so for those who have not had the opportunity to take the training, I don't know when the FSBA is going to have another opportunity like that. I do highly recommend it because it is one of the most important parts of our duties and responsibilities as board members is to create policy to support our students in the school district. So I'm a little torn because I think that it's really important especially for the new board members to take it and not necessarily wait until the next one comes around. If it's going to be another year before the next one comes around, I think that it would be important to take it before that, especially because we'll probably have another policy cycle or 2 before that even happens. So to me, it is a good investment. I just wish that they would offer it more frequently.
I know.
So it would be worth it would be worth the investment. It would be worth the $1,200, but I don't know that the whole board needs it if most of us have already been through the training.
Yeah, I just am reflected and reminded when I was a board member, the first 2 years, Member Snively, I wish I would have had some training. I just didn't, I went to all those Florida School Board Association meetings, et cetera, like we always do, but I wish I was more adept. So I guess I'm just sharing those experiences with those board members. And still today, I feel like I could do better. I need to learn more. I always this is all not about me, so I'm going to just skip that out. But I'm torn as well. Jessica Vaughn?
Well, it would be a definite investment in professional development. So I don't disagree that it would be worth the $1,200 definitely to improve our skills as policymakers. But go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Did you look at the schedule for FSBA to see if they have another policy training coming up?
Yeah. Carol Cook said that there's not one coming up, but there is the fiscal, the fiscal 101. I think it's 101, 102. And that's coming up, I believe, in Howie in the Hills. They have that frequently, but what they do is they do a 101. What's the next one, Snively? Is it 102? I'd like to say 102, but is it 102?
It is. No, it is.
That's simple.
I think it's either
We don't
201
want to go
or
right to 103, but they don't have a 103. Okay.
Right.
So,
No,
well,
I'm
we're going to
looking at
hear
the,
from, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying I'm online right now based on Dr. Hahn's comment to see if they've got anything coming up or any webinars. They have several webinars that are available online, and I will look to see what they have for policy making as well.
Okay. We can look at that
Okay,
up. Member
Sure.
Vaughn, would you like to express an opinion? Go ahead.
Thank you. I came in a little bit late to the conversation, so I think basically we're talking about whether we want to have a workshop on policy, and it sounds like Carol Cook would do it, and it would cost $1,200. And I'm torn too, because we want to be as fiscally as responsible as possible, but I do think that it's important for us to talk about policy as a group. For me, it's challenging sometimes to get to those trainings where I have to stay overnight or they're far away. And so I also think it's different when we do it as a group and we can ask questions that are more reflective about our way of work, as well as I think it's good for our community who watch our workshops to understand how the policy cycle works as well, and really understand how we make decisions and how we bring policy forward. And I know that our workshops and our board meetings aren't necessarily for public consumption, but if it helps our community really understand the process and why we do it collectively, I think it's a good thing. So is there any way to negotiate that price?
I tried, but it's a person. But, that's another thing, too. It's more personalized for Hillsborough County. And to your point, there's some policies that we have that Carol would also, walk us through, talk to us about questions if you wanted to ask her, those kinds of things. So it's more, when I say personalized, more directed for Hillsborough County versus the broader scheme of things. So you're going to get more of a, upfront Q&A opportunity. Any other? Member Combs?
I agree with Ms. Vaughn.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I was wondering is, are some of those workshops available virtually, that they were recorded during the meetings? Have we looked into that? I mean, have we looked at, yeah. I just didn't know, because in the past year, a lot of those meetings were recorded. I'm just wondering if the policy 101 and 102 were recorded. Can we just modify that? But I do think it's really important, because we are looking at many, many policies coming up in the next few years. And I do think I agree with Member Vaughn that I think that the community does want to know that. But 2 hours, how much can we accomplish for 2 hours? That doesn't seem like a long period of time. Maybe we can kind of work together in-house with Ms. Davis and maybe with Mr. Porter, and maybe we can create something, like individualize something. I don't know. That's just an idea.
Yeah, there's 6 tenets of policy making, and she would be going over those. And then if board members have questions about existing policies or what where we should go forward, that kind of thing, that's availability. But at any rate, so Member Snively, are you suggesting that we should look at a calendar to see if there's any more opportunities? I can't.
I'm looking. I don't
you're
see
looking?
any right now. Yeah, there's nothing on.
I really
schedule
like-
right
Member
now.
Hahn?
I
Go
really
ahead.
like Member Combs' idea about doing something in-house that's specific. And I think that, maybe kind of hitting the pause button today on a final decision, because I think there's some things we could explore to build out Member Combs' idea. If there maybe is a webinar around the 10 steps of creating a policy that folks could watch ahead of time, kind of get caught up to where we are, and then have Kristen and her team come in and then really talk about specific things like Member Combs and Member Vaughn had said that are specific to Hillsborough in-house. And, maybe there's like a combination we can do where, that way when we come into the conversation, we all have a similar understanding of the basics. Like we all have that foundation, and then we can have really a more in-depth conversation about policy specific to Hillsborough and, our vision and our feelings around that. I don't know, but
Oh, yeah, I'm making eye contact with Ms. Davis, who's going to speak. And I think if with the board's permission, maybe she and I could get together and before your next meeting, talk to FSBA, talk to Carol Cook, look at what's happening, and maybe come up with something that might satisfy the board's needs. And we can talk about it at your meeting in December.
I think that'd be great. And I agree with, it is important. Ms. Member Vaughn, you brought up some great points about all of us kind of being on the same page. But I think for me, there's that, everyone needs to kind of get that foundation. So we're starting on a level playing field. And, I think if there's some webinars virtually through FSBA that our new board members could view ahead of time, and then we get into the deeper conversation about Hillsborough County and policy, I think that would be really a more rich and meaningful conversation.
Okay, so it looks like we'll move forward with getting more information and possibly doing it in-house. But nonetheless, I think we all agree that it's critical that we know how to make policy, and critical, and this goes to Porter and Ms. Davis, that we do it on time, on a regular basis. So I think we need to be a board that has very good navigational skills in how to write policy versus like last time. I think we came up with 12, 18 policies, and it was a little bit over the amount. Krista, it looks like you want to say something. Then we're going to start with the agenda, and I want to apologize. I didn't mean to take that much time on the workshop. So we'll get all the stuff figured out, and Jim, you'll present it perhaps next workshop, or maybe during the board meeting. Okay, Ms. Davis?
Good morning. Yeah, it won't take up too much time. So for next steps, Mr. Porter and I will get with Carol Cook, and we'll look into the webinars, as well as putting something together. We do have on your calendar, January 25th, a workshop hold on there, so maybe we'll consider using that slot for this in-house, but that's up to the board's decision if we want to use that slot for the in-house preparation, walkthrough, facilitation type review.
Okie dokie.
Okay.
All right. Sounds like a plan. Thanks, board members, for indulging that time to consider the policy-making workshop or educational piece. Next, we're going to go ahead, and the purpose of the workshop is for the process of redistricting. I had thought, and I want to apologize, that we were going to share and talk about maps, but I have found out since our script review that was not to be done because obviously the public hasn't weighed in. And so I had given information via an email that should probably have been subtracted because we are not talking about maps today other than the process. So with that being said, I know that Superintendent Davis has some things to put together. And Superintendent Davis, I want to thank you, and then Jim Porter will go through the wherewithal, the guardrails that we should have during our discussion. This will not be long. We have a big night tonight, as you all know, a lot of reorg, etc. I'm done. Superintendent Davis.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Chair Gray. Really appreciate it, and thank everyone today. We're going to just talk about, just a summary. We all know why we're here, because statutory requirements require us to look at boundaries if there's any greater than 10% disparity related to our populations. Originally, we asked the BOCC to provide us with 3 maps from looking at different populations, a number of criteria, which I'll talk about in a minute. When they send back over, they sent 4 maps from Hillsborough counties through our technical agreement with the GIS, Geographical Information System leaders. In those 4 maps, we have presented to the board and to the community as well. And then also being able to make certain that we get input from our community, whether that input is in our community connections. At the same token, our input is provided online, on our online platform, on our main website, and then being able to come to a particular decision by the end of December 2021. Also, we see that why is this happening? Looking at the numbers in every one of the single-member board districts, we see the numbers show that there is a 10% or greater disparity between in a number of areas. So being able to use this information and share it to the public so they can understand the rationale for being able to move forward as a school district. One of the biggest things we asked the BOCC to do is really have 4 areas to really focus on. The first one is make certain there's continuity in community integrity, keeping neighborhoods together within our school district. At the same token, being able to look at population, so the population is really reflective and equal throughout our each single board member's district, and then being able to maintain the minority demographic balance, being able to make sure that District 5 continues to have a foundation of the majority of African American community members that we serve every single day, and then also making certain we look at the ethnic breakdown with ethnic and racial related to that overall platform and criteria. So the one thing we've done today related to the timeline, we've launched it. We've had special called board meeting. We've asked for board members who are interested to send maps, And then we've also been able to publicize this information to our community so everyone has it. And then we've also been able to have to date 2 community connection meetings that we've had at Sickles, and the same thing we've had at Wharton High School as well. And then we will have another one tomorrow night at Leonard, and then we'll follow up with 2 more to finalize our town hall, our community connection meetings with our community. We'll continue to have ongoing feedback from our constituents to be able to provide relevant information, and then be prepared for December 10th special called board meeting and finalizing this effort on December the 16th. One thing with BOCC, we asked them to be present today to be able to kind of walk through the generation of the 4 maps. They were unable to do so. We learned late last night that they have a similar meeting that they're going through this evening that they are preparing for. And so at this time, one thing I'll ask Ms. Dickinson to do is there any highlights, Amber, that you want to be able to speak to of our partnership, what that looks like, and what we've obtained to date? And Mr. Farkas is in Leadership Florida today. He's back tomorrow.
Sure. Good morning. Amber Dickerson, General Manager of Growth Management. So we do have, thank you. We do have a service agreement with the GIS department with Hillsborough County. We've had a great relationship the whole time I've been here with GIS. They have a lot of technicians, and obviously they have the data available because they're running it for the BOCC, and they also have the model. Again, though, if the public or if any school board members have specific questions about the data, please email me or Chris Farkas, and we would be happy to get that over to the county so that they can respond to any questions you have data related. And really that's it in a nutshell. So thank you.
Thank you.
And to date, we've had we had 3 constituents that attended Sickles. We also had 9 individuals that attended Wharton High School for a total of 12. The feedback that we received thus far from both community connection meetings at the same time, from an online platform, are the 2 that Tanya's handing out right now, and there's just been 2 for reflection. So we'll provide that information to you. We've done a really good job trying to communicate aggressively about these, about our meetings. There's a list, and if anyone needs to know what we've done, I can pull that slide up to make certain that we've been really aggressive with communicating.
And you know, Superintendent Davis, we had thought, and Mr. Porter, board members, we would have a lot of comments from these town halls, but the reality is we had very little commenting done on the first one at Sickles, and then last night just a few. So we're kind of surprised, and that's something also. But we do have. It's important that we obviously have the public involved as much as possible. Thank you, Superintendent Davis. Are you continuing? Yeah. Okay. Mr. Porter, we are here about process. Can you give us the direction so the board members can do their Q&A?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair and board members. I think the superintendent and his staff have done a really great job of pulling this together. And again, thanks to Hillsborough County for producing 4 maps for us. But it's been an all hands on deck situation, and everyone's really done their part. Today's workshop is not about picking maps. We're still getting input from the public. You'll have an opportunity to do that on December 10th. And when I get through speaking, Ms. Davis is going to walk you through the process that you'll use to do that for then a final vote on December 16th. Few parameters that you just need to keep in mind when you're going through this process. Number one, as Mr. Davis said at the outset, there are certain legal criteria that need to be met in order to do this. First of all, you need to do this in odd number years, so you need to do this before the end of the year. The districts need to be approximately equal in size. Right now they're out of whack size-wise, so they need to be approximately equal in size. District 5 needs to maintain its black population or go higher. It can't go any lower. The districts need to be contiguous. You can't leapfrog over different districts to create pockets. And with that being said, the maps that have been produced appear on their surface to meet all the legal criteria. So then it really comes down to you all, the 7 of you, to decide what you want the map to look like. You have the opportunity, the maps can be changed in the future. There are no extraordinary notice requirements associated with this. You do it by resolution, which will be done on December 16th. So we need at least 7 days' notice to publish that, but otherwise, there's the freedom to change if you need to do that, but that needs to be done in public and with transparency. So today, we're just basically just explaining the process for you all to reinforce it and for the public so they understand what's happening. No decisions today. On December 10th, you'll take the 6 maps and decide to narrow it down to either 3 or 2. Again, this is all your decision. This is the board's decision. And then on December 16th, you will vote on one of the maps, and that will be the new boundaries for the district. And I know this has come up in the past. If 2 years from now or 3 years from now, it appears that you need to make another change, you can do it in any odd number year. You don't need to wait for a census year. So it can be done. It just can't be done in an even number year, and it needs to be done this year for the reasons we've already articulated.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Ms. Davis, did you want to share?
So for the purpose of the ranking, you may remember we used a process, the rank order process, for your legislative priorities over the summer. And how you did that, you received a sheet that listed all the 16 proposed legislative priorities, and you ranked them 1 to 16, with 1 being your top priority. And again, 16 because there were 16 proposed priorities. So we will use, if the board's in agreement, we'll use the same process for the maps, the proposed maps, where it'll have just a sheet of paper with map A, B, C, D, just a list, and then you would rank them in your order of preference from 1 to 6. So number 1 would be your top choice, number 2 would be your second choice, number 3, and so on. And then the proposal was that we would just do this kind of like we did before. We'll do it, I will provide the sheet to you, your secretary. You can complete it, submit it back, and then I will go ahead and do the rank order process where numbers are assigned. And again, this is not a vote. I wouldn't think about it like a vote. This is more of a way to capture and summarize your preferences as a group. So this way you can see it's not, you're just putting your preferences, and then this is a group rank order. So
yeah, and to follow up on that, so that will happen. Then on December 10th, Ms. Davis will present that data to you, and you'll have your rankings, and then you'll have a discussion about it. You're not going to be bound by that, but you will need to vote on the 10th about which maps to take forward.
Okay.
I have a question about that process, because I heard you say something, then she said something, and then you seem to say something different. So on the 10th, we're going to meet, we're going to discuss the maps, like we're going to, share our concerns with certain maps, support of certain maps. Then we're going to rank them after we hear. Okay.
It'll happen before the 10th. So do you want to explain how
So when we go into the meeting on the 10th, we're already going to just have it narrowed down to 3 maps.
You're going to have the rankings
or 2.
Done. You're going to have the rankings done, but that begins the discussion at that point, just like you did with the rankings when you picked the superintendent.
So we're going to discuss all the maps, or just the ones that ranked the highest?
That's up to you. You can decide how you like to do it, but
Well, why are we ranking it before then?
just as a logistics issue, so she can have it tabulated ahead of time. I mean, do you want to explain how that works?
But I might change my mind after I hear people's discussions, and my rank will change. So what's the sense of doing it ahead of time?
Because you'll have a starting point. You'll have
The starting point are the maps that are presented.
Okay, now the starting point is you have 6 maps, and this is why we're doing this today at a workshop. So
Right, exactly.
you will have a starting point with the rankings. The rankings are not a vote. You'll come in and you'll have map A is listed number 1, map B is listed number 2. And then when you start discussing it, you might change that. Now, we don't have to do it this way. We could just go in on the 10th and you could have a free-range discussion. We thought this would be more efficient, but if the board doesn't like this, then we don't have to do it. But it's clear, it needs to be understood that the rankings is not the vote. The ranking is just what the board looks like going in. You look skeptical, which is fine, but if you don't
Well,
want
it's
to do
not
that-
the official vote, but it's certainly kind of,
If you'll recall,
is going to influence the discussion.
it will influence the discussion. But if you'll recall, when the superintendent selection was happening, you had official rankings, and then you did interviews, and that changed.
Okay.
And it's the same sort of thought process,
Okay.
that you need to have some sort of objective starting point. Oh, I guess this is subjective. It's subjective about which maps you like. Once you get there, you have a discussion, and maybe you're influenced by something Member Vaughn says, and you change your ranking. Or we don't have to do it that way. We could go in on the 10th and just with the 6 maps, and you could all have a discussion. We thought this would be an opportunity to provide some structure But if that's not something that you like, then we don't have to do that.
So we rank, we go in, we discuss, and then we're going to kind of, during that meeting, rank them again?
No, you would make a motion to say, I move that we take forward maps A and B.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'll let everyone else chime in.
Yeah. So right now it looks like we're looking at structure versus December 10th discussion for all of them. So you're presenting a process that has structure, basically.
We're presenting it now because if the board doesn't like it, we'll come up with another process. It's
Okay.
completely up to you.
Okay, member.
We don't want to cause confusion. We want to have clarity, but that's sort of why we're having the discussion today.
Okay, Member Vaughn.
Thank you. I love the ranked choice voting. You know that. I'm a big fan of that. I think it really helps start the conversation. My question is, why are we having 2 meetings to narrow down the map? Why can't we on the 10th choose a map? Why do we have to narrow it down to 2? Is there timing and advertising for something like that? It seems a lot to have 2 meetings to narrow it down to 2 now. I mean, if we already have ranked choice, then we're going to, and I know the last meeting's on Member Perez's birthday, so is it possible to have just 1 meeting to do this, or is there a reason why we're having 2 that I'm not aware of, or?
There's no doesn't appear to be working. There's no legal reason why you have to have 2 meetings. We built in enough time and enough space for you all to have a full discussion, and if that's the board's wish, then we can change that.
So is it Sorry. Is it a possibility when we get to the 10th meeting with the ranked choice voting and the discussion that we have, can we make a motion at that point just to, if we feel like we've narrowed it down and we've gotten there, can we turn that meeting into the official meeting and pick a map if we want to, or is that not possible?
We need to do that in advance.
Okay, so we can't do it at the meeting itself.
If the board's direction is that you want the space to do that, we'll just advertise it that way, and if it's not done, then we'll have the 16th as a backup.
Okay.
It can't be done on the fly.
Gotcha.
It needs to be done with some thought and some notice.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'm writing down the concerns. Member Vaughn shared, why do we have 2 meetings? Possibility is we can do it in 1, but we have to have the wherewithal warning systems to apply to that choice. Member Hahn?
Thank you. I understand the ranking provides structure. I'm fine with that. Obviously that conversation's going to be around, 3 maps, maybe even 4 maps. And that's going to be a pretty hefty conversation. Once we narrow it down to 2, then I would feel more comfortable coming back for a second meeting and then really focusing and zooming in a very, concentrated conversation around those 2 maps to get to the 1 map. My concern from the beginning is, and we've heard it from some of our constituents, this feeling that this is being rushed and pushed through. And if we cancel that meeting and say, well, we're just going to talk about it in 2 hours and make a decision, that feels very rushed to me. And I think that would be perceived that way from the community. This is one of the most important decisions we're going to make. I'm sorry it's on your birthday, I am, and I'm happy to move it, but that can't be a consideration. And, but we'll celebrate you like crazy, I promise. We'll make it worth your while. But I think that, this conversation is going to be weighted, and, we need to have space to have it. And to say, well, we'll just make that decision in 1 meeting, I am not comfortable with that. I respectfully ask for the space and the time. I know it's the holidays. I know everyone is busy. I'm busy as well. But I'm respectfully asking my colleagues for the space, 1 extra day to make this decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Hahn. So what I'm hearing is we have 2 yes for structure, Mr. Porter, and Member Hahn would prefer to have the entire laid out process that we already have in terms of meetings. Okay. Member Combs was next, and then Member Washington. And Member Snively, just someone will tell me when you want to speak, I hope. Pablo will. Okay, go ahead.
I agree with Member Hahn because I do think that I'm a reflective person, so I think the ranking in the beginning would be great. Let's bring it down to 2 or 3 maps, really have a discussion, you know, and at the end of the discussion, choose 2 or 3, and then it gives us, you know, it gives us a week almost to go out, to hear from our constituents, and then make a decision on the 16th. So I think 2 meetings would just ensure that anybody who really has input will have an opportunity to provide that input. It's unfortunate that we're not having more people who are attending these meetings. My only concern is that you're not hearing from anyone. We're receiving text, and then if people are unhappy with a map, and then they're going to come out in droves. So I think it's really important to just continue to engage everybody to attend these meetings, to look at the maps, and then make a decision, because we do have to make a decision this year.
Thank you, Member Combs. So what I'm hearing too is that you want the structure, yet you want the full amount of meetings. Okay, there's consensus that's going to be, I'm putting my little check marks. Member Washington?
Yes, I agree with Member Hahn. We have to have time because you said a really important point there, Member Hahn. This is one of the most important decisions we're going to make. And when we make it, it has to be correct because we have to keep that structure in. And I don't want to rush it because maybe, you know, like I was thinking last night, I stayed up a long time last night thinking, you know, we may have to compromise. I mean, you know, some of those maps I may want to change, I may want to add, I may want to take something off. So it's going to take time. So I agree with you, Member Hahn. We need to have those 2 meetings so we can make it right and be correct when we make that the final decision.
Okay, we have another yay for the structure and for the 2 meetings. Member Snively is on there. Member Perez, she'll go, and then I'll put you on. Member Snively?
Thank you. Yes, so great points by all the board members. I would agree that the more time that we have to discuss these, the better. Like Dr. Hahn and Sheikh have said, this isn't not just is it one of those important decisions that were made, but it could potentially last a decade if we don't change it in the future, like Mr. Porter alluded to the possibility. So it is, you know, very important decision to make. I still think that we should have taken our time, but I know that that's not necessarily the direction the board wanted to go. You know, but I will put it out there, and Mr. Porter can correct me if I'm wrong. You know, if we do get to the end of the year, because really December 16th is not the end of the year. Okay, so we've given ourselves about 45 days to get this done, not 60 days, 45 days. And if we get to the 45th day, we need to drag it out to the end of the year, or even consider moving it to 2023. That's still a possibility. And I know there are risks involved in both waiting and risks involved in doing it now. But that is a potential, or that is a possibility to have more time to engage the community, because these town halls that we're having, you're only getting like 3, 5, 10 people coming to these town halls. So even though I know the superintendent is pushing out information as hard as he can, the community is not engaging right now, and a lot of it is could be distraction, could be the holidays, could be, you know, various things. So it really it's very disappointing or disheartening, I should say, that that we're having all these meetings and more staff is showing up than constituents to these town halls. So I'm still a proponent of taking our time. I guess what I'm trying to say, Ms. Gray, is I agree, take as many meetings as we need to take to get this accomplished, but don't be afraid if we have to push it a little further and then end up voting in 2023 if we really want to engage the community in these conversations on this very important decision we're making. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Snively. So I'm putting down that you do want the structure, you do want at least the 2 meetings, and that possibility open it up for a continuance to 2023. So I have that written down as well. Thank you. Let's see, we have Member Perez, and followed by Member Perez will be Member Hahn.
So just for the record, I don't mind spending my birthday with my board members. Just for the record. I think you guys are a fun group. So, so just for the sake of information, can you explain how are these maps ranked? Before they get to us. And who ranks them?
They're not ranked right now.
Right, but how do they get ranked before they get to us?
No, you'll be the one. You'll be the only ones ranking them.
Okay.
No one else. I don't know if am I getting around possible? Okay. No one else will rank them but you.
Okay.
So they either meet the legal criteria or they don't, and they appear to meet the legal criteria. Between now and the 10th, we determine that one of them doesn't, then we will advise you. Otherwise, they're A through F. You are the only ones that rank. Staff will not rank. No one else will rank.
Okay, perfect. And and then the final vote is on the 16th.
Final vote's on the 16th.
Okay. And when did they go into effect?
It would go into effect in January. Well, it would go into effect immediately before the end of the year. And we would. I've been in contact with the supervisor of elections. He just needs our map, and so we would. You'll vote on the 16th. We have to publish it for 30 days and put it out for 30 days, but we'll immediately send it to the supervisor of elections, and so it will affect the 2022 cycle for elections.
Okay. So between now, so this meeting today, we were supposed to have the GIS from the county commission, but they didn't.
They're all available. They're all online.
Okay.
So there are 4 maps prepared by the county. Those are all available. We can make copies for you if you don't have them, but they are available online. And then 2 maps submitted by 2 board members that are also available. So there are 6 maps total. Those are all public record. They're all available for the public. They've been shown to the public at the town hall meetings. And if you don't have copies, the superintendent would be happy to make copies for you.
Okay.
Have those, but they're all available now.
Okay. And it's not to say that if we had meetings, let's say in the middle of March next year, that more than 3 people would have showed up, correct?
You never know who's going to show up. The biggest thing is we can just continue to just communicate, and we've done that aggressively to make certain the constituents are involved.
Okay. So the maps are available on the website.
They are.
People can see them. Okay. It's not like they have to get to the meeting in order to see the maps.
Right.
Correct? Okay. All right. Just want to put that out there. All right. That's all I have. Thank you.
Member Perez, so are you with the idea that you want the structure and the full 2 meetings?
Yeah, with the final vote being the December 6th.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Member Hahn, followed by Member Vaughn. And after Member Hahn, if you don't mind, I'm going to just weigh in because I didn't get a chance to weigh in yet. So go ahead, Member Hahn.
So 2 things that I hadn't even thought of that my colleagues brought up, Ms. Combs brought up that, and I think you're right, after we have that first initial discussion on the 10th, I think a lot of people are going to start wanting to chime in and provide I think we're going to see large numbers of constituents wanting to provide their input. So, I agree with you on that. I think right now it is quiet. People are going into the Thanksgiving holiday. They're focused on that and their families, as they should be. But I do think once we're kind of after Thanksgiving and we have that first initial discussion and present the maps and the ranking, people are going to be paying attention, and they are definitely going to come out more so than they are now. So I don't want, I'm not looking at the current attendance at these meetings as people aren't interested. I just think they're very focused on their families, as rightly so right now, this time of year. Member Washington brought out the fact that we might want to make changes to the maps. There is nothing it may not be, the final map may not be any one of the maps that are there right now, because we all may want to amend a map or 2 in a certain way. So we'll need time to do that. We could have that discussion on the 10th and say we want to amend this map or that map, and then the GIS GIS, our folks are going to have to go back and make those changes, and then we're going to have a discussion on the 16th. So there's nothing to say that any one of the maps we're looking at today will be the final map, and I think looking at the BOCC process, you can see how many iterations of maps they have gone through. And so I appreciate you kind of bringing that up, because that was something, and I would like, when we're just kind of closing out this discussion, to maybe talk a little bit about, Mr. Porter, about the process of, if we do want to amend maps, and if that comes out of the next meeting, what that process would look like. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I think these are good points. There are a couple ways to do that. Again, the strictly legal position is, as long as we have 7 days notice to put this on the agenda, then we satisfy the legal requirements. There are some practical and logistical elements that you just need to consider. So if you want to make changes to the map, I think there are two ways to do it. You could, if a board member submitted a map and wanted to amend that map or withdraw the map, that board member could do that and put it back into the hopper. You all could have a discussion on the 10th and come to a vote about what an amendment to a certain map would look like. We just need to do it in enough time so that we can run it and make sure that it meets all the legal criteria. And that is, so it meets all the issues that or all the criteria I mentioned at the outset. So on the 10th, I think we could have a more realistic timeline of what that looks like. But again, what your takeaway is to be today, this is your map. The 7 of you are the ones that are going to be the only ones that really matter in what it looks like. And if you want to change it, and you all agree to change it, it will be changed. Just have to do it in enough time to make sure that it can be vetted to meet the legal criteria. So I think on the 10th, that would be a very good use of your time. If there are changes, maybe you narrow it down and then you decide, well, I like map A, but I do think this should happen. Or if you submitted a map and want to make the changes before the 10th, I think that's the other way to do it too.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Porter. And my question, real quick, Mr. Superintendent Davis, when is our next town hall? What date is it?
It is tomorrow night.
It is tomorrow night. I'm just curious if we'll get more feedback. But and do we get a chance to see this feedback as soon as it's available? Do the board members get this?
We can make it available as soon as we can. It's online, and I just gave you a copy as well from the two. But anything to tomorrow night, if we get additional comments or any feedback, we can push it to the board so you continue to stay relevant and the board's wishes. My other question is, to Dr. Hahn made a really good point, that once maps are identified on the 10th of December, do we want to continue to have the feedback for the community open, and if so, how long? We have a meeting on the 16th. We want to make certain that each of you get a chance to review that information, so we can leave it open to the 14th or a different date, and then make certain that information is drawn down, and we can push that to each of you so you're prepared for the 16th to make an informed decision.
The other piece of that, just to play off of that, there'll be public comment at both the 10th and the 16th. Okay. So the public will have an opportunity at both meetings because you'll be voting. So there'll be public comment at both the 10th and the 16th, and that's another opportunity for the public to weigh in.
Yeah, and we have right now, I think, 16 public comment redistricting possibly for the school board meeting tonight. But in a nutshell, and I'll be very brief, I agree that the structure is very important. Keeps it objective, keeps it fair, keeps us right on task. Also, the public will appreciate the structure because they will want to know what the bottom line is. Secondly, I do agree that the two meetings are necessary. They're already been advertised, and I think the public, many of those folks will expect that. And like you said, Superintendent Davis, public comment during a school board meeting also will give another, I want to say for lack of better words, venting opportunity if people are frustrated or if people have a better idea, et cetera. But at any rate, we're going to go ahead and go through the process, it looks like. Member Vaughn, you want to speak on this? And let's go ahead and hear your remarks.
Thank you. And I appreciate the thoughts on having several meetings. I absolutely am not opposed if that's what the board wants to do. If we think we're going to get more engagement, I think we should have as much community engagement as possible. I'm glad to hear that you think that there's going to be more because I went to my town hall meeting last night and people were still, even at that meeting, confused about whether we were talking about redistricting board members or actual school boundaries and if it was going to affect their children's school. So I would love to see more engagement, and I hope that you're right after Thanksgiving that we get some feedback on this. The question I had for you, Mr. Porter, is I thought I heard you say that even if we go through this process, that we can redo it again on another odd year. Did I misunderstand that you said that?
The statute allows the board to redraw their district boundaries in any odd number year. So if 3 years from now or 2 years from now, if you felt like there needed to be a change, you could go through this again if you wanted to.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah, Member Washington say no way. So, yeah, but at any rate, board members, if there's not any more remarks, Member Snively, did you want to make another remark?
No, but thank you. Appreciate it.
All righty. Board members, I think we have consensus. Mr. Porter, structure is very critical, and also the full-fledged meetings. And we'll look forward to hearing from Superintendent Davis his notes on the next town hall and see if we can get more. Where are we having the town hall?
It's at Leonard.
Leonard. Okay, so that's South County. Okay. All right. Well, we'll look forward to any more remarks. Thank you, board members, and we will see you this evening. Big time situation coming up tonight. Stay tuned. Adjourned.